Let's go through my sewing empties of 2023 for the products I would buy again and to see if they'd help you at all. Welcome, I do sewing and DIY related content, and today we are going through some of my sewing empties or the products that I finished up using and then I just sort of saved near the end of this year to see which ones I liked, which ones I would buy again, and just to kind of give a little update and review on whether they were good products or not. So the first thing is we will start with thread. I've gone through so much thread this year. Again, this is probably just the threads that I have gone through in the past few months as when I started to start saving these to collect for them. And the one that I just keep going through again and again is the Coats and Clark's threads. So this is the Coats and Clark's dual purpose thread. I absolutely love this. I've used it so many times and it works really nicely. The thread quality doesn't really snap as often as other threads do. As you can see, this is what a full one looks like. You get so much thread on it, and there are different sizes depending on how much you need. So it really works well depending if you're doing a small project, a large project, and they come in so many different colors. I have tried other threads. I got this one, for example, off Amazon, and they work. This thread's actually pretty thick though, so it can get stuck in your sewing machine and cause it to snap over time, but it's not as great of quality as the Coats and Clark thread, which is why I kind of keep going back to them. I also have this gray one here, so this was actually metallic thread, and this one was really fun. It also is by Coats and Clark. I found that this was really fun to use for different quilting projects, different embroidery projects. This thread is a little bit more temperamental just because it is thinner, but I enjoyed it for using it as a decorative feature on different items. So for these threads, I would highly recommend if you're looking for a thread for your new project. Coats and Clark's is normally the ones that I go with. I know there are other brands out there. Just this one has been the one that snaps on me the least. It's pretty easy to find, and you can only get a sale on it at Joann Fabrics or other big box stores. Next, I will move on to my needles, as I have gone through a lot of needles this year. The first one that I will do is for my sewing machine. So Singer provides these universal regular point needles, so it can really go in any sewing machine. On the back it even talks about which brands it does fit. These come in up 3 different sizes, and the back has a lot of information about like what the color mean for the sizes and which size you would use for which fabric. So I find them incredibly helpful. It's also really good practice to be changing your needles out when you are sewing, especially if you sew for long periods of time. Just keep them sharper. As for quilting, I got these titanium quilting needles from Singer as well. Again, they're universal. They can go really in most sewing machine brands. I found these really nice for quilting. I didn't notice too much of a difference using this needle versus the regular just point needle, but if you want to test it out, this one does come in 2 different sizes. You can make your own opinion on whether it's worth buying separate quilting needles versus just using those regular point needles. Now, the last thing that I had for needles are these hand needles. As you can see, I've gone through like half of these, and they come in so many different sizes. It's really helpful for different types of projects. My biggest drawback with them, and why I have gone through so many, is that they start to bend over time, so they're just something to consider when you are looking into hand needles. So now we will move on to my notions. So I went through all of these snaps. So I use these bigger snaps. I made a Halloween costume a little bit while back. I can include a link to that video. I find these big snaps really helpful, really easy to sew on because they are bigger. There's a lot more to hold, and on the back it even has a little diagram of how to sew them on. So I love these, and I've used them over and over and over again, and I find them a little easier than those small snaps, although sometimes you need to use the small ones. Next, I needed a new blade for my rotary cutter, so I got this Olfa blade, and I love the packaging that it comes in. It's just very secure, so that you don't have to worry about how sharp the blade is, cutting anything. It included instructions for how to change it, which were very helpful and very easy to do. It actually is for 2 different styles of the rotary cutters, which is also nice that you can just get the same blade. So I would highly recommend if you're looking for a rotary cutter. Then I did use a lot of zippers this year. So this is also a Coats and Clark zipper. You've probably seen these at the store. You can get them Walmart, Joann Fabrics, other stores. And this is what it looks like before it's empty, so the zipper comes inside of it. The packaging is really nice and clear for you to be able to see what the zipper looks like and the sizing. And then on the back it does include information about how to use the zipper. Now this year I have also been using a lot of other types of zippers that are not Coats and Clark, and I find that especially for little bags, really any brand of zipper, like you can get these boxes of like 120 craft zippers. They work pretty well for like little zipper bags, but if it's going to be something you're using over and over again, you may want to get a higher quality zipper, as these zippers can tend to wear out over time. So it really just depends on what the purpose of your zipper is. Next, I will just do one little tool that I found that's been so helpful for me, which is this magnetic seam guide. I've talked about it in another video, I think, and I'm so happy that I got one of these this year. One of the items that I do struggle with is sometimes getting my seams to be exactly straight, and this helps a lot as it's a magnet, so it sticks to your sewing machine, and you can guide it for how big you want the seam allowance to be, and then it just gives you a little bit more of a definition for where you need to line up your fabric. It's super easy, this was pretty cheap, and I'm really happy that I got it, and I've used it many times. So this is just a quick look at some of my sewing empties. Let me know if you like this video, if you've used any of these products, or if you have other recommendations. I would love to find out so that I could take that into 2024. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.